Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking and subscribing the channel is free and easy, and it helps me out a lot. If you want to go a little farther with your support, I have Patreon and YouTube membership available, which includes access to the BoshNRoll Discord server, early access to things I'm working on, sideboard plans, cards I'm buying. You could have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use the YouTube membership option, you get sweet, unique YouTube badges and emotes for the channel. If you want to play what I'm playing, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support my channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com. And if you're playing on Magic Online, a cardhoarder.com loan account can let you play any deck anytime. If you want to wear your support, there is BoshNRoll merch available. All of these links are in the video description below. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and this is at the request of subscriber Spunky, who has asked me to update my Field of the Dead Bant League that I went 5-0 with just last week to be a 4-color Field of the Dead Bant deck, flashing for red. And this was an easy request to take on because this was going to be my next step with the deck anyway, and I had already put some work into it. Basically, what I've done here is from the base Bant build, I cut a snow-covered island. There were 2 of them for a total of 3 islands. They're split between snow and not snow for Field of the Dead these days. I went down to just 2 basic islands and added a volcanic island. And I turned Windswept Heath into Scalding Tarn. And that's the only change I made, just those 2 changes to the mana base. We already had Ketria Triome in the deck as a red splash. It's a land you can cycle over and over again with Loam, or it can be a red splash to get your Prismatic Ending up to 4. But now we actually have red cards in the deck too, so that one was a smooth little grandfather in. Volcanic Island comes right in as well. I looked for something to replace Prismatic Vista to see if we can do better. I don't like having a fetch land that can't get my splash color in the deck, but I think that ultimately having a different name for Field of the Dead is worth the cost of not being able to fetch red with Prismatic Vista, because you want to be able to fetch your basics with your fetch lands, and at the same time they need to have different names. Like the 4th Flooded Strand is the correct one if we weren't playing Field of the Dead, but there's just like a little bit of nuance there where once you're loaming and you really want your Field of the Dead to be on with your first 7 land drops, you don't want to have to wait till number 8 or 9 because you have too many of the same name. So that's why there's still a Prismatic Vista. We're just going to have to live with it not getting red, but let's keep an eye on how often that screws us up. Outside of that, I added 1 Expressive Iteration to the main deck. I'm not sure about this card. Anurag Das has been crushing it with a 4-color control deck, playing Expressive Iteration in what's mostly a Bant shell. He won the challenge and then top 4'd the PTQ over the past couple days, or the past week, I guess. Past 6 days at the time of recording this. So there's something there, and I'm going to try it. I'm not sure that this shell that has Life from the Loam already to gain card advantage really needs this, but it's worth a shot. This is just a Moto League. It's not a Grand Prix. This is where you test this stuff, so I'm going to try the Expressive Iteration and keep an eye on that during the league. My 5-0 list had 4 Uro and 2 Shark Typhoon. I cut 1 of each to make room for 2 Teferi Time Raveler. In talking with Zach Allen, we were both just really impressed with this card all the time. I was pretty much the only person still playing Teferi and Bant. Up until very recently, my most recent list cut it, but I always had 1. And it was always just this sort of absolute banger in control mirrors that where you don't really want a 2-for-1 yourself. You want to play for the board. You don't really want to be forcing things in control mirrors. And Teferi just sort of wrecks that whole 1-for-1 plan. And I want to try it. I'm going to push it. I played 2. I think 1 is probably the right number, but I'm going to try 2 so we see it more often and see how it feels. And in the sideboard, there are now 2 Pyroblasts. That's the reason to be red. And I have 2 right now. 3 might be the right number ultimately, but I'm going to start with 2 and see how that feels. And this is 4-color Field of the Dead Bant. Let's get into it. I'm on the play in round number 1 with a hand that doesn't do a lot, but it does have all its colors and some interaction. I'm going to keep it. This is largely for science. I'd feel better with a blue card for the Force or a green card for the Endurance or whatever, but I am going to lead on Ketria Triome I have Wasteland and Prismatic Ending for interaction with fair stuff. And I get a draw step every turn. Let's hope it pays out. Triomes in play and chip it. Wooded Foothills from the opponent. That indicates to me Storm, and this Lion's Eye Diamond follow-up really indicates to me Storm. If there was any doubt. Oh baby. This is the Epic Gamble. Nice. This deck is also in my queue. I think I'm actually releasing it later this week, or very soon after. Oh, this is not the Epic Gamble. This is something completely different. Wow, I wish I had a green card for Endurance right now. Okay, I take it all back. We're just getting obliterated by this red Stompy deck. None of these creatures can cast Hogak, though. We are taking 6 and they're drawing 3 cards. But what does that mean for me? I really want to draw Swords to Plowshares, I guess, is what that means to me, to get rid of the Angie's Ravager. It is ahead of the Prismatic Ending. Okay, Brainstorm is the type of thing that could fix this busted hand. Oh, Force of Will, thanks for showing up. I did find the Swords to Plowshares, though, so I'm going to put Wasteland on top with Prismatic Ending above it. And let's get this Angie's Ravager out of here, and I can force something this turn. I can Prismatic Ending the Root Wall on the following turn, and we just got to work through these cards that they have. Another LED. Gamble. Do they gamble for another Ravager, I guess? I don't really know how this works or what I'm supposed to be countering. Oh, Ox of Agonis, yeah, that's a good one. I'll force that. Oh god, they had Angie's Ravager and Ox of Agonis. Thus. Alright, maybe I should have forced the Gamble, but I guess they would have had one or the other either way. I'll counter this, but then they get to Ox. No green card for Endurance is gonna cost me this game. Strew more cards, they get to attack for 6. And I'm just dead because I remove this. I remove the Root Walla, and the Wasteland is under that. I'm just dead to the... Okay, alright. Yeah, they had 2 things off of their Angie's Ravager. I could have beat 1. Alright. GG. Now I know what I'm up against. Let's figure out what we're going to do about it, though. Terminus seems pretty good here. Teferi's very good here because it turns off the entire Madness mechanic. So, hello Teferi. If we can get to you, that's good. Storm hits Gamble, but not any of their other things. Meddling Mage doesn't really hit anything. I don't have a great plan for this matchup, it's true. Canonist can mess up some of their more busted lines. Containment Priest, that doesn't stop. Like, I imagine Vengevine's probably in this deck. Priest would stop that. It's also a 2/2 body that I can just put into play. Force of Negation probably is important to fight over the LEDs. This is pretty rough. I'm going to cut Expressive Iteration. I don't think I'm going to have time for that. One of the Jaces, don't think I have time for that. I want all my spot removal, all my cantrips. Dress Down is pretty good, actually. That could rip haste off of a creature. Could stop the draw 3 from an Ox. That could buy some time. It's also blue for my forces. Do I want the max negations and wills, or to go down to 5 total forces? Engineered Explosives could clean up any number of Root Wallas, but there are 3 and 5 drops that they're going to be throwing into play with like Ox and Hollow One and whatever. That's a different story. Okay, I'm going to run it like this. Not sure about Engineered Explosives. I think this matchup's going to be more about keeping good hands than really sideboarding in an unbeatable way. This one's really interesting. I have double force and double removal spell, but only the 1 land, but it is the correct land. I'm going to try this. Basically, what I'm betting on here is that if I can survive their first wave, I'll have some time to draw more cards, because this hand is not going to survive a second wave. If I were playing against a deck that was less all-in than my opponent's deck, this hand would be pretty indefensible. But because we are against an all-in deck, we can also go all-in to stop them. That said, I'd really like to draw some lands, though. Like, first 2 draw steps, just give me fetch land, fetch land. Let's do it. Get this Uro going. Once Upon a Time. There's occasionally an argument to fight over Once Upon a Time. I don't think this is a deck where that's the case, though. In Vintage, I'll frequently force Once Upon a Time out of these Berserk decks but I don't think that's what we're doing here. Putrid Imp. I would rather use a removal spell than a force on this, though I understand it enables a lot of stupid stuff. Let's hope I'm not punished. Passing. So I can plow in the end step. I think I want to use the plow just to make sure my mana gets used, as much as I'd like to prismatic ending that thing. Alright, no love there. At least I didn't have to discard the hand size. Yet. Faithless Looting. They still can't cast Ravager. They discarded Kitchen Imp? What the hell is that? I've never even seen this card. The 2/2 Flying Haste. For 4, so I can never kill it. Oh god. Do I Force of Will this idiot? I'm gonna die to it pretty quick if I don't. Yeah, I mean, it hurts, but let's go. On blue land. Alright, we're in. Okay, now I can dress down to at least cantrip and move the game forward. Slow things down if I have to. Gamble. I'm gonna let that resolve. I'm still not sure how deadly Gamble is for me. Alright, well, they cast this thing, I can take the haste off it at least. If I care. I think that I do. I'm gonna get Tropical Island and cast my Dress Down. Dress Down might get better than this, but needing to hit my land drops here is a big deal. If I can find the third land to start doing Uro stuff, then I don't have to worry about a 2/2 haste anymore. LED, yikes. Oh shit, I just clicked right through that. Probably should have countered it. It didn't do anything with it right away. Okay, cool. I can Brainstorm and Prismatic Ending here. I'm gonna exile the LED. Alright, we are juiced up on lands. Let's do it. Prismatic Ending, the Lion's Eye Diamond. They can jam Angie's Ravager into play in response. Really hope they don't do two things in response. But they have two Angie's Ravagers and a Root Wall in their hand. Alright. Maybe should have saved that Dress Down, huh? I can't beat two of these. I can't beat one of these. So I think I'm dead. Like that hand was extremely well set up to pop off in my end step. They have exactly enough mana to do all of the things. Yeah, that was well navigated by them. And I basically have to have Terminus or I lose. 3, 4, 5, 6. Looting on the way through. Mill yourself for 2. Fair enough. Get to draw 3 cards. Pumping Rootwalla. That means they didn't find stuff to cast, or at least they don't need 2 mana to do it. Looting. Found another Blazing Rootwalla and a Vengevine. Okay, I have a 1 outer Terminus that I can dig for here. Yeah, remember when I said I should have forced that Lion's Eye Diamond and I just clicked right through it? Yeah, I should have forced the Lion's Eye Diamond and this whole thing doesn't happen. Gonna get Triome. It's all my colors. It's my worst land I can draw. Terminus. Oh my god. The 1 outer Terminus. So you're saying there's a chance. Bant. You would never betray me. And they still have a Vengevine in their graveyard. Flashback Looting. Trusty old Bant. They have a Kitchen Imp and a second Vengevine. This Kitchen Imp has been a steady source of damage the whole game. Oh no, they have another card. Did they just have Putrid Imp to kill me right now? God, the Terminus was wasted. Alright, I'm dead. Insane games. That came down to them dropping that second main Lion's Eye Diamond when I was busy just like, okay, we survived the turn, blah, 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 blah. Oh shit, that card's in play now. If I force Lion's Eye Diamond, they don't get to double Angie's Ravager plus Blazing Rootwall in my end step, and then they have to cast those cards 1 for 1. Uro stays ahead of them. Like, it was just... That was the punt. I blinked. Terminus... The deck tried to help me out here, but it just didn't matter. Alright, GG's. We're out of here. On the draw, in round number 2, I'm going to keep this hand. Lands and spells, got a Brainstorm, a Force of Will. It's a good one. Opponent's on 5 already. Time to find out if they're broken or just unlucky. 5 is the final answer for their keep. Bloodstained Mire, okay. Looking kind of reanimatory to me. See what we got. Thoughtseize, okay. Targeting me. Alright. Unfortunate. I don't have a green card to go with Endurance, or else I would be double covered. I think they should take Brainstorm. Oh, weird. They took Endurance. If they take Brainstorm, I can't pitch for Force, or pitch for Endurance, or fix my hand. I think that was a little weird. Do I just Schwace them? And try to deny their mana? Do I hold up this Brainstorm? Because if they try to discard me again, right, they're on 5, I'm going to waste them. This is kind of a Hail Mary, but I'm trying to pinch them off of options. They already know they have to beat a Force of Will. I'm just trying to deny their ability to play 2 or 3 spells in a turn. Because they need the Entomb, the Reanimate, and a discard spell right now. Let's hope they just can't do 3 things. It looks like they're just passing the turn. But we stopped in their second main. They're reconsidering. They passed. I'm getting the read that they have Lotus Petals in their hand, but no land. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm fine trying to live this Delver life, though. Just wasting an opponent who's on 5. Don't let them play the game with my Bant control deck. Sign me up. Passing the turn again. I'll take it. Oh, that's exciting. I'm gonna play my Plains so I can plow if I need to. I haven't found a blue source to back up. Like, I can't Brainstorm yet and have a fetch land. I'm getting unmasked. Targeting me. They can strip the Force, but I still have the Brainstorm to dig for more answers. I can Swords to Plowshare as a thing that comes into play. Pivot onto Uro next turn, or Teferi next turn. Obviously, if they get something... If they are able to make Grizzlebrand right now, then they get to draw a million cards, and the Swords to Plowshares might not even be that good. The Unmasked pitching Exhume. So they have a second Reanimate spell. Do I want to Brainstorm now? I won't be able to shuffle it, but I will be able to Uro and jump through some of it. Still don't think that's great. Okay, Ponder is a nice one. I'm gonna Brainstorm first and then hope that I can also cast this Ponder. Because Ponder can shuffle away cards if I don't want them. I could also Ponder first, trying to make sure I find the blue source to pay off the Brainstorm. I don't think that's where I want to be, though. I think I do want to Brainstorm and just totally change the composition of this hand. Okay, not ideal. If I put back Forest and Swords to Plowshares, though... Alright, if I put back Forest and Uro, I can Dredge past them next turn. Do I want to Dredge? Yeah, I think Dredging is fine. Okay. Put these 2 back. Savannah. Loam. Now I have blue sources locked up. My hand is totally different. I can Dredge past those cards I don't want, which puts Uro directly into the graveyard. Then I get some fresh looks with Brainstorm and Ponder next turn. Obviously, they're going to go for it this turn because they just did their Thoughtseize. Looting. Yeah, looting's a lot worse than Entomb. But they had Grizzlebrand and Chancellor anyway. Oh, they're just passing. Wow. Right, that Wasteland was huge. Grudge Loam to get through those cards. Uro's in the graveyard now. Brainstorm. Probably going to get rid of Wasteland and Loam. Oh, yeah. Wasteland and Loam are both out of the mix. This. Get a blue source. Probably just the other trop. Tundra. Does Tundra do anything? No, I have a bunch of white. Yeah, it's the other trop. I'm gonna Ponder right now. Try to keep more. I'm looking for more forces, basically. Didn't find them. I did find the mana to escape Uro next turn and start winning this game somehow, but I think I want to shuffle this, looking for another force or something relevant. They made it clear they don't have more mana, or at least not enough mana to do what they want to do, so they're back in the position where they have to have 2 things with no mana and 3 cards in hand. They have to have Thoughtseize, Reanimate, or Reanimate, Reanimate. Alright, we're getting another turn. To me. If I draw a mana source that can make Uro, I'm going to make Uro. So I did do that. So Tundra gives me blue, blue, and I have green, green. Yeah, I want Tundra. Green, green, blue, blue. 1, 2, 4, 5. So there's no Snapcaster in my deck. There is Loam and there is Endurance. So thinking about rebuying lands and thinking about tucking relevant spells into my deck are both things to think about when you're escaping for Uro. I don't think this game's going to go long enough for tucking for Uro to really matter. My opponent just said in the chat that they are playing a similar list to my Reanimator League from like a month and a half ago that they just watched last night, and they were inspired to try it, so that rules. Uro drew a second Force Negation while I was talking about other stuff. Feeling pretty solid right now. They have 4 cards in their hand, and I have 2 answers to the spell, an answer to the monster, and they're still over there looting. I'm not going to spend my force on a looting. Like, that's card negative. They can't flash it back. Like, you lose the looting and the 2 cards you discard, and you get 2 new cards. So Faithless Looting is -1 card, which is a huge deal when you only have 3 cards in your hand. It wouldn't surprise me if they concede to the double force here. They're down to 1 card in hand. They see 2 answers, plus a million ways to find more. I think their window to win this game is past, but I've been wrong before. Oh wow, they took Teferi over all this other stuff. Wall Therapy, I guess, is a draw to clear out. I don't know. I'm a little surprised by taking Wall Therapy or taking Teferi out of all those options. I'm gonna ponder, try to hit some lands. Did hit a land, and I can attack with Uro, hit another land, and now Shark Typhoon is enormous. I can hard cast 2 Force of Negations. Yeah, this feels pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they're dead on board to the Shark Typhoon token if they do nothing, and they have to get through double force to do anything with 1 card in their hand. Like they're just passing the turn, time to present lethal. Hope they don't have a instant speed reanimation spell, but I still have double force even if they do. I'm gonna fetch basics. Like, my red splash doesn't matter. I'm not boarding in my red cards, but I still like hiding information where I can. I have to attack for Xaxes with a shark. 6 + 4 is 10. That's your life total. Dredging Uro is sweet. Just skip the whole front end and just have a dope 4-drop instead of a crazy 7-drop. They packed it up to my lethal attack. Alright, I feel like I got a little lucky there. There were some tenuous turns that really that cheese wasteland was the difference. Okay, I want Canonist. I like Flusterstorm. I said Canonist, but I meant Priest. Definitely want Priest as a slam dunk, but I do also want Canonist. Force of Vigor can hit Animate Dead, but I don't really think that's where I want to be. I don't think Null Rod matters. Meddling Mage is mediocre because they have so many different spells they can cast, and I have no way to like peek at their hand and know which one they're going to have. Dress Down is okay. It's a blue card. Uro is a blue card and a green card for all my important things. Endurance is the card I shaved on to try this Expressive Iteration, and that's a huge punish in specifically this matchup. I think they're pretty comparable in fair matchups, but obviously I would want more Endurances playing against actual Reanimator. I don't think I want Prismatic Ending. I'm trying to think of what cards are the worst here. The Prismatic Ending can exile Animate Dead, but Swords to Plowshares could just exile the creature that's being Animate Deaded at instant speed. I think Plow is better than Ending in this matchup. This Reanimator doesn't usually have like defense grid and stuff that I'd have to worry about with that. I don't think Terminus is where I want to be. That requires a lot of setup, and it also requires them to have a monster in play, which is the thing I just don't want them to do in the first place. Null Rod can slow them down, but I'm on the draw, and if they're going to have a fast Lotus Petal hand, it's going to happen before I get to 2 mana. Yeah, I think this is the sideboard plan that I have. Let's go. On the draw with a tough one here. The 4-color mana base coming for me. I have Force, but I have nothing to do with... Like, how many blue sources are in this deck? Let's review. 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's 16 blue sources in the deck. And there are 53 cards in my deck. So it's close to 1 in 4. It's like between 1 in 3 and 1 in 4 cards in my deck is a blue source, which is on the draw, like, still pretty bad. I'm gonna mulligan this. Oh god. This hand just doesn't interact with what they're doing. Opponent's on 6-2. Let's see if they go down to 5. Maybe Loam isn't great for the matchup. I don't know. There's a Caracas in the deck. Oh, sweet. Found it. Okay, I'm going to keep this Caracas hand. Send one of the Plows and the Prismatic Vista to the bottom. This Force of Will is awkward right now, but we'll see. I do play a lot of blue cards. Oh, they're unmasking themselves. Okay. So that my original keep of no mana source Force of Negation would have KO'd this opponent. They're going to get to draw a bunch, but I do have the Caracas, so I at least get paid for that. And they can only Grizzle once because they used Reanimate. So the question is, do they have a Pithing Needle? Can they make a second monster right now? They're unmasking me, but the most important card is not unmaskable. I get to keep my mask on for safety. Maintain social distancing from Grizzlebrand. They're also griefing me to strip the Force of Will. If they reanimate Grief, they die. I'm gonna have to tread some water here, try to get some spells going, but I'm not dead to this initial onslaught just on the strength of Caracas. I draw 7, cast 2 pitch spells, back down to 3 cards in hand. One of them's Bloodstained Mire. That's a deal. Caracas is in play. We'll just bounce this now. There's not really a reason to wait. They're just going to go to combat and I have to bounce it anyway, so bounce it. There's the Bloodstained Mire we know about. They're cracking it down to 3. The Children. Oh, they're a turn late. My opponent is kind of a combo-y build. I mean, they're obviously a combo deck. What I mean, I hope you understand, is that they're like the super deep combo deck. Ponder's a good find. I'm gonna leave up Caracas. Try not to get roasted by Grizzlebrand. I'm gonna draw Brainstorm, and then I'll draw Force of Negation next turn. If they discard me this turn, losing Brainstorm isn't the worst, and I can hard cast Force of Negation next turn. And I just have to avoid getting beat down 1 point at a time by Children. By the way, every time this card is put on the stack, I think of it in Chef's voice from South Park. Hello, children. Here they are. 4 mana, they can hard cast a Grief, which, if they do have another Grief, I actually think that when they pitch cast the Grief 2 turns ago, they may have wanted to wait until they had 4 mana to just cast it. But Exhume is a good use for that as well. I get to take my Brainstorm. I could have just put Loam in my hand, which is a card I don't care if it gets discarded. In fact, it's good if it does. But I played to hoping they don't have another discard spell or don't use it right away, rather than... Because like if I untap, I would rather have Brainstorm in my hand than Loam. Decided to execute my plan before responding to theirs. If they try anything, I can Force a Negation. If they don't try anything, I can cycle Triome. Either way, I clear the Loam. I don't really want that card around. I'm pretty interested in Uro right now. Or even like Teferi. Take some of this pressure off would be nice. Attacking for 4 is pretty real. 2 cards left in their hand. One of them is Grizzlebrand. We get a green source here. I already have lots of white, so I'm going to get Tropical Island. Cycle my Triome. Getting paid out for having a cycle land in my deck. Cash it in. Didn't want it. Okay, that's actually really good. I can plow the Grief when I can also pitch Jace 2 Force if I need to do 2 things. If I don't need to do 2 things, I can just take one from Children and eventually draw a land and jam Jace into play. I am going to plow the Grief right now. Don't need to take 3 more damage from that. Played another land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're a Dark Ritual away from casting Grizzlebrand. Okay, I'm no longer dying to Children of Corliss. I have a 2/2 in play. Respect me. Canonist is also going to make it really hard for them to get Grizzlebrand in the graveyard because they have to Entomb and then reanimate on separate turns. Oh, is their card Abrupt Decay? There's the Entomb. So they're not going to get a legend here. Their last card in hand is Reanimate. I'm going to let this resolve because I still have the Force. I can force their payoff. And I really would prefer to just have Jace in my hand. Being a little greedy. Like, if I force this, they're just functionally hellbent. And they don't have a lot of great top decks either. But I can counter their top deck, but I'm going to make them top deck the top deck. If any of that makes sense. Sire of Insanity. Okay. If they had more cards in hand or I didn't have Canonist, I would have countered that Entomb. But knowing that they have to rip, and knowing that my counterspell is safe to respond, you have an Exhume. Alright. Well, they did rip. Ended up having to make my play anyway. That's too bad, but at least we're back to this. And I'm winning the damage race on board. I can put you to 3, or you can lose your children. I think running out the Misty is better than bluffing something, because they can't play around a bluff anyway. They just have to put whatever they have on the stack. And if they do manage to pay out, their thing makes me discard the Misty that I was trying to slow roll. So there's real cost to holding it back and no value to bluffing. That one's pretty good. Attack with my Canonist. Kind of funny that blocking... So they should probably fetch before damage. Okay. Like, if they fetch before damage, then that gets their fetch land in, and they're still at 3 life instead of 2. Because they can get that 1 life back from children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and that's an artifact, so they can't cast another spell. Alright, now they're at 2, which they didn't need to be at. Are they hard casting Chancellor? Yep. Alright, Chancellor's in play. Gonna have to plow that, which puts them up to 7 life briefly. But then they go back to 5. Pay the Troll Toll, get rid of it. I was about to say I'm sitting on this Misty Rainforest in case I draw Brainstorm or Ponder, and here is Brainstorm or Ponder for your enjoyment. And I am going to fire off the Brainstorm now. Because of Canonist, I can't like Brainstorm into an answer when I need it. I do need to just take actions now. Bang! Containment Priest, don't mind if I do. That should end the game. That cuts off all of their remaining top decks. I just stacked my deck, so I'm going to Uro into Flusterstorm next turn, and then I can pass with Flusterstorm up, Uro in the graveyard, Priest and Canonist in play. That was about the best 3-card Brainstorm I could hope for. Reanimate your children. Unfortunate. They go to 4, they don't get their children, and they're just dead, because Grizzlebrand's in their hand and I'm attacking for 4. Bang bang, GG's. And 4 life goes to 0. On to the next round. We're about halfway through the video, so let me just remind you that if you like this deck and you want to try it out, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com, and you can play any deck anytime with cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. These links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. On the draw in round number 3, I'm keeping this hand. It's obviously spell heavy, but 2 of those spells are free. I have Brainstorm to go with this land that I have against some sort of Ancient Tomb deck. Ancient Tomb Defense Grid. Who does that? This must be some sort of Urza deck, I would imagine. Or maybe like a Mystic Forge deck. I'm going to counter this pitching Jace. Just not going to count on casting a 4-drop. Just get rid of that for now. Dress Down could affect Urza Sagas or Urza or a variety of things where Jace is not going to impact this game for a long time. And it's likely, just the way that these decks are built, that I'm going to have to force something else this turn. Main deck Defense Grid is aggro and scary, though. I'll take Key Resolves. Raiders, what do we got? Grim Monolith resolves. They have a bunch of mana now. Untap Grim Monolith with your key. 6 mana available if you want all of it. They could Defense Grid and Mystic Forge right now. That's messed up, if true. Let's hope that's not what's going on. Okay, yes, Mystic Forge confirmed. I think I want to... I could Brainstorm first. Yeah, I don't think that... Well, Dress Down's actually really good if this deck's trying to kill me with Walking Ballista. I could brainstorm for looking for a worse blue card to force with, or I could just force with what I have and use brainstorm to find more forces for the future. I'm going to go with that. See you later, dress down. This was a good matchup to keep a double force hand in. Another manifold key. So they have 3 more mana if they want it. Or at least just untapping with their Grim Monolith, which is also probably pretty good. And then they're untapping with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Untapping with 11 mana on turn 3. Pretty good. Let's hope that last card in their hand's not great. Brainstorm and Ponder. The Prismatic Vista is a little dangerous here because it doesn't cast these blue cards. Or like, it casts the blue cards, but not if I want to keep my green cards. All right, I am gonna Ponder again. Finding another force here would really help me out. If I can find force green land, hey, I did. I found exactly that. Found a force and a green land, and that's the best I can do right now. Let's hope they just pass the turn. And if they do cast a spell, let's hope that it's like Mystic Forge and not Walking Ballista for 5. Because it's for 6 now, they had their land drop. Island confirmed. Maybe this is an Urza deck after all. I hope not. But they don't have double blue to cast Urza, so alright. 1 card left in their hand over there. Pretty good one. Okay. They're empty. I'm about to Uro, and that's what I got. Triple force. Still might not be good enough. Now I have to actually beat them, and every top deck in their deck, they have a lot of really insane draws they could find. I'm going to get Savannah here, because that gets me white and green. Find a green source and keep Uro going. Nice. Alright. I'm going to fetch Ketria Triome in the end step. That'll give me 4 colors. Or no, it won't, because I have 2 basics. Alright. It won't quite give me 4 colors for Prismatic Ending if I have to exile a Mystic Forge or Karn. Please just brick 1 draw step. Let me have a turn. Let me try again. Alright, definitely getting Ketria Triumph though. Get all set up for this. Hey, I drew the thing I was talking about. Green, green, blue, blue. Here comes Uro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left some lands in the graveyard for Loam. Ooh, Expressive Iteration. Good thing I got that Triumph. Let's see if that's good. It's exactly the type of game where you want to find Expressive Iteration. They are a Saga deck too. Cool. I did mention that at one point, that was a possibility. Found Caracas. Is it better to express? I guess, yeah, I'm going to express pre-combat. A card in my hand is going to be Loam. Card on the bottom of my deck is going to be Forest, and the card in exile is going to be Wasteland. I'm going to play Wasteland, waste their Saga. I'm going to Loam, and then put Wasteland in off of Uro when I attack. Now we're doing it. I'm not going to dredge Loam for this draw. I'm going to waste their Ancient Tomb. Right, they still have a lot of mana, but now they have a lot less, and I can ending their Monolith next turn, and then they basically have no mana. It's got to fade this turn. Uh-oh. Double blue. They could Urza me here. But I have Caracas for actual Urza. Uh-oh. We're making a lot of mana right now. I don't like it. Oh, just hard cast Echo from hand. Fair enough. That's really good, but they have 3 colorless mana to work with. I guess they could Echo from the graveyard pretty easily. Yeah, they now have Echo from graveyard available. Alright, this is scary. They are a really artifact-heavy, Volcanic heavy Urza Echo deck. I wonder if this is the build that won the, or split the top 4 of the PTQ recently. I remember looking at the list and thinking it was a little different, but not really committing what was different about it to my head. Yeah, that was a great draw, the blue source, to get their Echo going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 mana right now, 2 of it's blue. They could Urza. It's weird how many of the same cards I ended up with after the Echo. I don't have the Prismatic Ending, though, which was going to be important for my removal of Grim Monolith. Mesmeric Orb. Okay. That's fun. I'm going to mill 5 in my upkeep. Oh, they're going to do a bunch of milling right now. Yeah, this is the thing this deck does. Mesmeric Orb both clears the top of your deck to keep Mystic Forge going, and it mills Echo of Eons into your deck, so you can keep the party going. Could Echo again right now if they want. Probably the plan. They just played their whole hand. Untap Monolith, they're gonna get a mill here. They're Echo in the graveyard. Sack the diamond. We're gonna Echo again. I actually kind of made a huge mistake with the Uro because I exiled the 3 forces, not thinking that they were an Echo deck, so that's just 3 of my 6 forces that are not in the draw 7 pool anymore. Untapping Monolith, they have 6 more mana. Karn's back. Alright, can't counter it. Do what they're wishing for. We're looking at the power of these Echo decks because I had to force Defense Grid, had to force Mystic Forge, had to force whatever the third thing was that I forced, and then they just are like, okay, I have another one. They just power through these blue decks. These are really bad matchups. After board, it gets a little better because like Null Rod obviously just blanks this entire board of theirs, but it's rough right now. They have coding. They can Rashad import one of my lands functionally, just like turn it off. Let's hope they go after Triome and not Savannah, because I'd really like to exile the coding or one of their mana sources maybe. I do get to see a lot of cards this turn, but let's see what choices they make. I mill 5, which is kind of fun with my Light from the Loam deck. Okay, they did not coat me in the upkeep, which is certainly a mistake. Let me see if I can find some more action before it's too late. It's like another force, something that can help me shut all this down would be great. I found force. Don't shuffle that. I can loam and get up to 6 different land names. Guess I should be playing my spells now. I'm gonna fetch because I don't want the 2 cards on top of my deck. I have to get Tundra because I want to exile the liquid metal coding. Or do I care about coding? Do I want to exile the orb? That's interesting. If I exile orb, that's a lot fewer looks they have at another Echo. I'm going to exile orb and attack Karn. And without Karn in play, I don't care about coding. Okay. That's not how that works. They just turned off Uro's activated abilities. Attacking is not an activated ability. So I will attack. I'm not going to Dredge Loam. Yeah, I was looking for a blue source so I could cast this Ponder. I guess that makes sense that they didn't port me in the upkeep because they didn't realize how this works. Looking for another force right now. Brainstorm, Ending, Uro. None of those are what I want. There are 2 more forces in the deck. Ah, I got one. Okay. So I'm holding double force, untapping into Uro plus 2 zombies. They're on a 2-turn clock. I took out 2 of their engines that turn. They have a lot of mana and 7 cards in hand, though. They're just untapping their monoliths to get things started. And they do have the coding front-loaded, so if they find another Karn, they can blow up lands immediately. But that's not really good enough anymore. There's a Saga. Okay, there's not going to be time for that. Echo. I am going to force the Echo, pitching Uro. They don't currently have a blue source, or they can untap Mox Opal and go again, but I have the other force. And if an Echo sneaks through, then they're shuffling my forces back into the deck. We're untapping Monolith, and if they tap Monolith and then key to untap Opal, they'll have the mana they need to Echo again. Yep, they went for the Opal. I force this as well, which is dangerous because there's 1 force left in my entire deck. There's 3 in exile and 2 in the graveyard. I definitely messed up with this Uro. I just... If all of my forces... I could have just exiled different cards instead, and we would be playing a different game. Okay, there. Sure. There's no Karn in play, but they turned my thing into an artifact anyway. I don't think I loam here. Field of the Dead, make a zombie. Then attack with Uro. Put in Wasteland, a zombie. So I can waste the Urza Saga and I have them dead on board, but they have 5 cards in hand, a zillion mana, and I have nothing to say about it. Could definitely lose this game. Here we go. Oh, they conceded. Wow, their 6 cards in hand just didn't do it. Okay, that was tough, but winning game 1 is really important. Now we get Force of Vigor. I don't know about Canonist. Meddling Mage is good. Explosives, Null Rod, Wasteland, all good. Flusterstorm and hit the Echoes. That is all it hits. Priest, Canonist. Canonist, their deck is largely artifacts, but some of their cards are not artifacts. Like Karn and Echo, their payoffs aren't artifacts except for Mystic Forge. They're definitely bringing in 6 cards. Probably bringing in 7 with options on number 8 and 9. I imagine Walking Ballista is in their deck somewhere, whether it be the sideboard as a win con or elsewhere, but I still think Dress Down is not really where I want to be. I'm going to make them show me a creature before I play Swords to Plowshares post board. Endurance is still a flash threat that can mess up their graveyard, which is relevant to them. Ending is great. Shark Typhoon is both a blue card and something I can tap out for. I think Jace is medium minus, just being a really expensive card. Expressive Iteration is blue and does other stuff. Do I want both Loams? I am bringing in Wasteland as part of an aggressive sort of mana denial package. Flusterstorm. If I bring that in, where does it go? I mean, Teferi can bounce defense grid and stuff, but Teferi is kind of medium. Alright, I'm lower on Teferi, up on Flusterstorm. I'm bringing in one of those. Though, Pyroblast counters Echo the same as Flusterstorm. Like, they have the same amount of targets, but I have more blue mana than red in my deck. Yeah, I think that's the tiebreaker. I'm going to play one Flusterstorm and see if they show me more things I need to worry about post-board, since we're going to get a game 3 if we lose. This hand is kind of soft, but it's also kind of interesting. I do really like Wasteland in this matchup, and if they're going to have defense grids and that kind of stuff, I don't really want to mull to a force hand anyway, because then I have to force the defense grid and I don't get to do anything. And then sometimes they just put Ancient Tomb into play and pass the turn, and then you get to waste them. I'm going to fire off my Wasteland, and I have this Explosives on 0, ready to clean up residual stuff. I think that was basically just Time Walk. Basic island action over there. Now I actually have a force to back up. I'm not going to show them this Engineered Explosives. I might want to put it on 1 to clear up keys in the future. Maybe they drop a bunch of zeros, I don't know. Is that where I want to be? I'm going to let them have that. I can explode the Lotus Petal this turn, and then I'm untapping into 3 mana where that can either bounce Defense Grid or just cast Force of Will. I'm going to push on the mana denial thing here. Touch my Triome while I can. Play Savannah, the Explosives, and I'm going to blow it immediately. This is just Wasteland. I would use Wasteland here, so I'm going to use Explosives as Wasteland here as well. Another grid, alright. I was already ignoring the first one. And they missed their land drop, check that out. That's a big deal. I can Loam, or I could Brainstorm Fetch, then Loam. Yeah, I like that. Brainstorm. Okay, this is getting pretty good. I'm going to put back Force of Will because I'm never casting it through these defense grids. I don't need 2 Loams. And then I'm going to fetch Tropical Island. I don't think this deck could play Back to Basics. If they get me with Back to Basics, then I lose, whatever. Well done. But I just don't think that's a thing that is possible. And I get to discard Uro to hand size. That's fun. This tap-out mana denial plan just doesn't exist in traditional Bant. This is entirely facilitated by the Loam strat. Stick Forge, okay. They snuck one in. They got a City of Traders in on me. See how far it goes now. Exile the top card. Shredded an Urza Saga out of the deck. Cool. They're shipping it. I'm going to waste their city and bounce their Forge. don't think I want to dredge loam. Not yet. Blue, white, colorless. Bounce Mystic Forge. Don't dredge loam. Waste their city. I have Loam Wasteland at the ready. If they make more land drops, okay, they get to make their forge again. Forge resolves. The defense grid's putting in work here. Teferi also putting in work, though. That was a whole time walk. Do I want Uro in play right now? I could dredge loam and put Uro into play. I could also not do that. What spells am I trying to draw? I think winning this game at this point should be my plan, so I am going to dredge loam. So Prismatic Ending would have been a good spell to draw. Okay, there were spells worth drawing. Plus Teferi. Fetch. I have blue, blue, green, green. I think I want Tundra here. That gives me... I have blue, blue, green, green in a variety of directions. Here comes Uro. Gonna leave Prismatic Ending in Wasteland in the graveyard. I can put out Field of the Dead now, so it's untapped for next turn. I think that's the best way to do that. I'm actually untapping into 6 mana where I can cast a single force. Just gotta survive this turn, which is kind of a big ask, honestly. They just untapped with Defense Grid and Mystic Forge. They exiled their top card, didn't like it. The sooner they do that, the better. Ox Opal. Basalt Monolith, alright. That is a mill your whole deck option with the orb, Mesmeric Orb. You can pay 3 and then pay 3 to untap this. Oh, okay. So they can mill their whole deck right now. Alright, F6, I guess. Let's see what they want to do with all of that. We'll take keys in play now. Yeah, they have perfect control over the top of their deck as well. They should win this game right now. I just want to see how they do it. And if they can do it in a reasonable time frame. They're under 10 minutes on their clock to my 15 minutes. And I'm not going to concede till I see a win con. Second Mystic Forge, probably not what I would have cast there. I don't think they know how this works. Like the Basalt Monolith, tap for 3, untap for 3, mill every card you don't want. Like just, they could have cleared this Mystic Forge for free, but instead I'm getting another turn. That's why you never concede. Right, they're going to mill me for a bunch. I lost a Meddling Mage, that actually does kind of sting. Plus Teferi. I could leave up a single force, or I could like Wasteland them, play Jace. I could look for the other Meddling Mage right now. I could look for the Null Rod right now. I did board a Null Rod, right? That card is in the deck. I just had this terrifying brain fart. Yeah, okay. It's like, wait, is there a Null Rod in the deck? Am I playing Null Rod? Oh, it's right there in the graveyard. Fucking duh. Alright. Well, Null Rod's gone. That was the card I would have really dug for if I was going to dig for stuff. 1, 2. Is Force of Will or Wasteland better here? I think it's probably Force. So Canonist is still in the deck as well. Alright, I'm gonna go for... Like, Lethal's already on board. I don't actually need to make zombies. I'll get the Volcanic Island anyway. Loam. I can attack. Not gonna dredge Loam. I am gonna put Wasteland into play. I found Prismatic Ending. That's a good one. So if I exile their orb and waste their tomb, I'm gonna restrict a lot of what they're capable of. Exile that. And do I even cast Ponder? Does it matter? It gets one more card I mill next turn. Alright, I guess I'll cast Ponder. Flusterstorm. I'll shuffle this library because it just doesn't matter. Caracas in hand, and then I'll discard Uro to hand size and F6 and hope I'm still alive. We played Lotus Petal. Played Grim Monolith. Another Basalt Monolith. It is important to note that Field of the Dead can push through Karn the Great Creator. Even if they manage to get Karn plus Lattice plus remove Uro from play right now, I can still continue generating attackers just by making land drops. They definitely messed up last turn when they had their whole deck in their hand, almost literally. That's why it's important to know how your deck works. And these are the leagues. I'm sure this person is trying this deck for the first time because they saw it yesterday. But yeah, last turn they had the GG. They had Defense Grid. They had their whole combo set up. Didn't know about it. They have 7 mana with 2 blue floating right now. I imagine we're going to see an Echo from hand. Okay, it's Karn. It's not Echo. It could still be Echo, like they could wish for LED and Echo with extra mana. But Karn is wishing for something with 4 mana floating. Snaring Bridge, okay. I literally have Teferi in play on 3 loyalty. Not worried about that. It's right there. It's on board. You can see it. Okay. I'll draw for turn. Not going to Dredge Loam. I'll play a fetch land, get a zombie. I will activate Teferi's ability to bounce and Snaring Bridge. Not going to Dredge Loam. And then I will attack my opponent until they're dead. Okay. We got a little lucky there. They didn't play perfectly, but still, this is a Magic tournament, and playing better than your opponent is part of winning games. So off we go, on to the next round. I'm on the draw in round number 4 with kind of a wild hand. This one's probably getting a Twitter screenshot, but I think I am going to keep it. For science, I think I would mulligan this if I was at the Pro Tour, but I can cast Expressive Iteration with this hand. I do have interaction. They are on Bant. Okay. This is some sort of Bant mirror, which is going to give me time to do stuff, which is probably good overall. Now the question, nope, there's no question. I was about to say the question is, do I hold on to this fetch land in case I find Brainstorm, or do I fetch my Triome? And the Expressive Iteration in hand makes me want to have red right away. So I am going to fetch Triome and just get to work here. Other Bant decks probably won't have Wasteland in them, so I'm not going to play around it. My opponent, however, bang, you're going to Abundant Harvest for a land. I'm going to waste it. If that's the game we're playing, let's play. They had to shoot off a weird Brainstorm there. They didn't want to do that. Let's hope it actually hurts. Okay, they found another land. It's fine. Worst case scenario, we just replay that same turn again. I could ponder right now, but I think I want to just pass the turn. I can dress down as a cantrip if necessary. Like if they Coatl here, I'll probably dress down. But who plays Coatl anymore? Not a very popular card. A ponder, shuffle, no land drop. That's what I'm trying to see. I think I am going to dress down in the end step here, just to keep velocity moving forward. If I draw an Uro, I can just put it into play also. Didn't draw Uro. I could Expressive Iteration here. So I think I want to save that till later. I have a really tasty little ponder right here. I'm good on lands. I shuffle this ponder. And I'm going to ponder again. The deck's already randomized, so I'm just going to keep going. I don't think I want a second plow. I do want the endurance. And I can play this fetch land and pass the turn. I dress down just there for the cantrip. Not a bad use of a card in a mirror like this. At some point, I should... like, if I had Flusterstorm or Spell Pierce, I would beat up on this Brainstorm. But because it would have been a 2-for-1, that's not something I'm interested in doing. I don't have white mana yet, and I need double green, but I'm holding this forest. I could get Savannah, but that's another... I think I want the Tundra. They have double green with this basic forest. That's kind of awkward. Another fetch land. I'm just going to run out this forest. I'll make a move with endurance, see what happens. Or I could just hard cast Force of Negation on something. I'm saving Expressive Iteration to be the last thing I do. Like, I have 7 cards in hand. I can just chill. That's the kind of thing you want to counter if you can. I can hold up Force of Will. I could Expressive Iteration and hold up Force of Negation. Alright, I'll iterate here. See if this is worth a Force of Will out of them. If it is, I'm fine with that exchange. It's going to be 2 cards either way. Okay, so I want Force of Will in my hand. Swords to Plowshares on the bottom. And I want to exile Teferi. I'm going to shove that into play. This is the type of crack open a control mirror card that you're looking for. And this is a counter it or never counter anything type of spell. Force Pitching Fluster. So Teferi came off 2-for-1, and it just got a 2-for-1. So I got like 2.5 cards out of this Teferi. Do I think that Teferi being in play or these forces being in my hand is going to be more valuable going along? And I think I'm just going to let them have that. That was pretty good. Expressive Iteration is messed up. Not going to fight over Uro. I have Endurance to mop that up. I can Endurance with Force of Negation backup, just all on the hard cast. I'm going to pass and make this play on their turn. In their upkeep. Green, blue, green, Endurance. They can't Force of Will either way. Those are gone. Days Undoing. Oh, we're doing this, huh? Do I care about this? My hand isn't very good. This ends the turn. They end up plus 2 cards on the deal. Yeah, this is actually fine. Resolves. Cool. I'll draw for turn and play Field of the Dead. Bang. Zombie Town. Population me. So they have Narset and Field. They're doing the whole thing there. I could Brainstorm right now, try to hit an Uro, and pull ahead. I actually think that's worth doing. I can still hardcast all the cards in my hand. 8. Blue, colorless. Here's Teferi. If they counter this, it's 1 less counter to fight over on their turn. If they don't counter it, it's in play. Force, pitching, force. Okay, resolves. I'll pass. Abundant Harvest is fine. Still don't have white mana. Uro here. Just going to plow it on the front. Just don't want to deal with it on the back end, even though that's quite a ways away still. Another Harvest. Found Ponder. I didn't cast Ponder. It's time for Field of the Dead to do what it does. I'm going to attack for 5, and then make 2 more zombies. If they Swords to Plowshares Endurance, it's just going to happen. That's not important anymore. Here they come. I took 5. Back down to 22. Starting to do it. And zombie. I'm going to fetch now, because I know my next card down isn't a good one, and I'm extremely interested in finding like exactly Uro here. Brainstorm again. Found exactly Uro. It's 2 back, and blue-green colorless. I'm going to put the fetch land in from the top of my deck. Yeah, that's fine. Swords to Plowshares, you got it. Generates 2 more zombies and shuffles my deck. Oh yeah, they're conceding to that. They see the end of the road here. Field of the Dead doing exactly what it's in the deck to do. Okay. My build, honestly, is kind of unfair at how messed up it is against the mirror. The Field of the Dead's already messed up, Whelm's messed up, Pyroblast completely insane. What is less important? Swords to Plowshares is way less important. Might want some number still in the deck, but also maybe not. Pyroblast kills all the same things that Plow does, for the most part. They're doing this whole Narset thing, which is kind of dopey, but Carpet of Flowers is good here in the blue mirror. Elrod doesn't matter. Explosives. Prismatic Ending's doing the work Explosives is doing. Maybe Explosives shouldn't even be in the deck, if that's the case. I like all of these other things. Force of Negation could become a Flusterstorm. Like, Fluster doesn't help against Narset, where Force of Negation could be really important, but the flustering of the counterplay, like pushing one of my things through or stopping their Days Undoing, all of that seems pretty good. Do I want the other Wasteland? Is that going to be part of my plan? Just pinch them down to playing on basics? Do I want just a raw extra land? Like, leave all my lands in and just go up to 24? Because hitting land drops is so important in these matchups. Yeah, Dress Down isn't really important here. Yeah, maybe I cut Dress Down entirely, get my Force back in. I could bring the other Flusterstorm in. No, I'll just keep all the forces in. Be this counterspell heavy deck that wins with Field of the Dead. Last second, I'm actually going to switch that Force of Negation back to the second Flusterstorm. Because I mentioned in Game 1, when they were cantripping, really looking for anything to do, looking for their land drops, I would have 1-for-1'd those, but I wouldn't 2-for-1 them. Between Pyroblast and Flusterstorm, I think I kind of like having the option to do that, where I would never cast Force of Negation on a Ponder. I love the sand. I'm keeping it. Life from the Loam is exactly the type of banger you want in the mirror match. Ponder can get me started. Uro and Force just keep me alive. Opponent mulled to 5 already. It's all working out. They are not going to have Wasteland, but they might have Back to Basics. but I'm not going to respect it. I'm just going to go Tropical Island and play the best proactive game I can. Endurance Field. I could play Field next turn. I don't think I want a third Force. That's kind of a lot. But I do like Endurance. Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. I was just supposed to cast Loam and find the field later. But this just changes things a little bit. I could play Field on turn 2, then Loam my way up into Uro over the next several turns. Instead, Brainstorm is bold. They have Rest in Peace. Like, what 2-drop is good enough that it's worth doing that for? Unless they're trying to like leave up Counterspell while also hitting their land drop. I am just going to make the field land drop and play up into Uro. They've hit all their land drops, so that's going well for them. They have Teferi in their deck as well. Okay. I'm going to Force of Negation, or I could Force of Will, pitching Force of Will, and have Hardcast Force up next turn. That's what I'm going to do for the reasons described. I can still Force pitch Uro if I have to, but I really don't want to do that. Am I going to beat Teferi straight up? They have 1 card left in their hand. Can I let them have Teferi? What does that game look like? This Force of Negation is dead anyway. I just wasteland them. 1 card left. If it's Narset, that could be trouble. And their Force resolves, and then I can decide about Teferi. Alright, I'm going to counter that as well. Let's just keep it clear. Why let them have a powerful permanent when I'm sitting on Loam and just other stuff to do? I can fetch for Savannah here, and then Loam next turn, hit my land drop with Endurance in play. He's Undoing. These are the days of the days. Oh, Scalding Tarn doesn't fetch Savannah. That's the problem here. Okay, I might just have to get a second Trop. I could get Triome and let the Endurance go away. Sounds really bad, though. I'm going to get the Endurance into play right now, while they basically can't do anything about it. Doesn't matter who I target, because Undoing's about to shuffle everything away. Okay, fresh hand here. Ponder. I probably want to Brainstorm and then cast Teferi. I should have not played my land yet either. If I find Wasteland, I'm going to kind of wish that I hadn't done that. And maybe I actually want to Ponder and not Brainstorm, because my hand is full of good cards. Ponder just to make sure my next land drop's lined up. Sounds reasonable. Alright, good thing I did that. Shuffle those away. Scalding Tarn still does not fetch Savannah, but I don't need Savannah anymore. I'm going to get the Tundra and play Teferi. They have double Force lined up here. They really don't want to play against Teferi. Okay. They won't have to. Them being a combo deck and me being a fair deck, I really don't want to spend my forces on just like something that doesn't stop them from comboing. Their own Teferi. That's the sort of thing I'm going to counter. I'm going to lose the Brainstorm because the cards in my hand are good, and hitting land drops or developing specific things, Ponder is just better at doing than Brainstorm. I ended up with both anyway. No problem. Okay, that's pretty good. Not going to shuffle. I'll play Caracas for turn. Now if they try to plow my Uro, I can just pick it up. I'm going to get in for 3 along the way, though. Green, blue. Here's Uro. Plow-proof Uro. Through Jace. Uro's in the graveyard. They were a Simic deck last game, and now they're an Azorius deck. They just can't get it together over there. Alright, we're in hard mode. I could definitely lose here. If they have, like, Flusterstorm. But they also lose their Tundra to do that. Okay, they just have nothing. They're conceding. Hell yeah. And this deck, like I mentioned, does feel like it's kind of cheating. It just has so many cards that are crushingly brutal in exactly the Bant mirror, which is not what I'm built for, but I'll take it because it's still an important part of the metagame. On to the final round. I'm on the play in the final round. I'm going to keep... This hand has removal. I really hope this is a fair matchup because I'm not beating a combo deck with this. But going to 6 in the blind when my hand has lands and spells in it, not something I want to do. They're a Scalding Tarn deck. What's coming out of the Scalding Tarn? Island Ponder. They could still be a combo deck. Don't actually know anything yet. I'm not going to fetch my Triome right now when this still could be a Wasteland deck. They did not shuffle their Ponder. Regrettably, I've drawn another land, and their starting land was not wasteable. Looted Delta, Scalding Tarn. I'm getting combo energy from this. Yeah, Underground Sea. There's only one deck that plays that. The Thoughtseize is probably going to strip Force, but wasting their Underground Sea could be pretty good. My bet is that this is Doomsday at this point. Like, Thoughtseize is not a deck that, or not a card that's in most decks. Underground Sea, I'm just going to assume is Thoughtseize basically all the time. Oh, they took Swords to Plowshares. That's weird. Maybe they're not doing what I think they're doing. I'm gonna fetch my Triome now. Sneak that in. Now that I'm pretty sure they're not doing anything else. Ponder. Ponder was the blue card to go with my Force. This might have been greedy. Okay. Do not shuffle. I also just gave them a chance to daze my Ponder to pick up Underground Sea. The Ponder would have still resolved, but they would have hid their Sea. Now I have Force of Negation up with... And I'm not going to get dazed. But them taking Plow is weird. Okay. Thoughtseize gets another poke. I left the Brainstorm on top where it's going to do more for me. Cast my Brainstorm. See a bunch of fresh cards. Oh god. Spell Pierce, no! I could have played around that and didn't. Yeah, should have played around that. What are you going to do? Play around it next time is the answer. Now I'm wondering what they're up to over there. It's not looking like Doomsday anymore. Okay, it's not. It's some young Pyromancer deck. Jesus. Getting to strip my Prismatic Ending as well. Oh, my whole hand's actually gone. If they want it. That's why they took Plow. They are actually just some sort of Grixis deck. Fair enough. I hope I draw Uro at any point in our 3-game set. Not a card that Grixis can beat. You see here a large case of Brewer's advantage, where I was going off things that I think are reasonable to believe about the situation as it was presented to me, but it turns out that it's just not true because my opponent's doing something unexpected. Powerful. It's weird they didn't strip my Force, because it's free. Like, you sack the Elemental to Flashback Therapy, you get another Elemental. Like so. I am going to counter this. What do I guess I can get whatever basic I want. I'm gonna get Island, though. Yeah, this is going away anyway, so I'm just gonna force it. And if they want to fight over this, at least I'm protecting information. If they waited a turn on this Flashback Therapy, and then didn't attack first, like they missed a damage there. Dress down, not bad. Don't hate that card. I think I want to cast it in my end step. That turns off Young Peasy for the turn. Okay, I get to draw a card. Young Pyromancer doesn't get to generate tokens this turn. Hope they don't have Crocs in their deck. Field of the Dead is weirdly close to stabilizing this game as well. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna play Savannah, and then next turn play Field of the Dead, fetch, make a zombie, fetch, make a zombie. Then I'll have 6 power and toughness in play to their Young Pyromancer that doesn't care about counter spells or discard spells. See if Field of the Dead can win a game where I cast 0 spells. I think the answer is yes. Wow, Uro. Don't mind if I do. Here's Field of the Dead. Blue, green. Here's Uro. See if we can hit another one. This turned around very quickly. Dark Ritual. Okay, are they a Phoenix deck? Okay, they must also be a Phoenix deck. They're going to Dark Ritual to hardcast Force of Will here. But okay, that makes sense. They're doing Phoenix stuff out of the graveyard. Alright, they hardcast the front half of... Or they hardcast the front half of Uro. We forced it. And now my zombies are going to outmuscle their Pyromancer. And they need to deal with this Uro in my graveyard still. Now that I'm Hellbent and they know what they're up against, they can really dig in and try to Phoenix me this turn. Hope that doesn't happen, I guess. Right, 1 spell, 2 spells. They just brainstormed. I probably expect a bottom out of this Preordain to clear the brainstorm cards. Yep, they bottom the Preordain. They don't have good attacks. Oh god, but they're making them anyway. Okay. Fetch. Is Stifle in this deck? If they can stifle this fetch land, they actually have a pretty good situation here. Gotta make sure I get different names with all of these. Can't get Tropical Island. I can get Tundra. Make a zombie there. Then fetch again. Get another zombie. Do I want my plains? Do I just want the Volcanic Island? Volcanic Island is just like a bad basic island. So it does Expressive Iteration. Okay, I'll get Volcanic Island. 3 zombies. Go to blocks. Block Young Pyromancer and 2 of his friends. I take 1. They're bolting the zombie that's blocking Young Pyromancer, sure. That's fine. Still take 1, get a card out of their hand for free. Force of Negation, that can protect my Uro. That's messed up. Green, green, blue, blue. Leaving up Force of Negation. Exile Dress Down, Vista, Tarn, Plow, and Force. Uro's just in there. I gain life. Did not get to make a land drop. That's okay. I don't think I'm at the point where I should be attacking yet. They have 2 cards in hand that are clearly not a counterspell, or they would have played it, I think. Should I let them have this? I think their hand is bad. They've shown me Spell Pierce, but I still think this is worth doing. Brainstorm is just countered. If they like Dark Ritual and Tomb Phoenix, then they got me. But I do think just with the information I had, fighting over that Brainstorm makes sense. Petty Theft is pretty good. Resets the arrow, but I have the mana to just put it right back into play next turn. Yeah, no attacks. You love to see it. 7 creatures in play. Not interested in attacking. Make a zombie. Green, blue, colorless. Burrows here. Field of the Dead, folks, just showing up. Then green, green, blue, blue. Leaving the lands in my graveyard in case I find a loam. Alright, 2 more zombies off the top here. Pretty good. I'm at 16. I'm going to start attacking. The Shark Typhoon has Brazen Borrower covered. And they're done. Cleaning it up. Just Field of the Dead. Just played it on turn 7 and it won the game. Some other stuff happened too, but that's mostly what we just witnessed. Flusterstorm's good. Pyroblast is probably good. Canonist is going to be good. Containment Priest is going to be good. I should arrange this in a better way, so I can actually see what's going on, and so can you. 6 cards coming in right now. I think the Wasteland's probably reasonable as well. Engineered Explosives, there's interest in that. Carpet of Flowers, interest in that. So 6 cards for sure, and then 4 maybes. I don't think Dress Down does what we needed to here. I can like take the haste off of the Phoenixes, but I think between Endurance and all my other stuff I'm doing, I don't really want that to be the plan. Don't really want Force of Negation around. And Flusterstorm and Pyroblast are going to do most of that work. So they are kind of a combo deck, and I need to respect that. But only a little. They have a lot of discard spells. I like the removal. I like the loams. I think I want Terminus in for this matchup. That's just the type of thing that can clean up a board that's gone awry. I don't know about Teferi. They're going to have Red Blast after board. Dark Typhoon's good. Jace is also pretty bad against the Spell Pierce and probably Red Blast deck. How am I winning this game? It's Field of the Dead and Endurance right now, and my Shark. You do have to win somehow. I don't think the extra Wasteland is where I want to go. That's just something that if it comes together, I can roll with. But, okay, here are my cards. Presumably Phoenixes are in this deck. Haven't seen them, but we did see Dark Ritual, which is a pretty smoking gun. Unless they're just like some Storm deck that has Young Pyromancer in the main for some reason. I'm going to keep this. Towards the Plowshare is a good card, Uro's good card. Fetch land, go, sure. I could start with a Ponder, or I could hold up Plow. I think I want to get rolling on this Ponder. Prismatic Ending. I am not going to shuffle. I'll put the land in my hand with Prismatic Ending under it. That way if they cast a discard spell this turn to clear my removal, I still have removal afterwards. This is a little dangerous though. If they like Thoughtseize, take Plow, and then Cabal Therapy, Prismatic Ending, I'll end up with 2 of the same thing. These mismatched Fluted Deltas stacked on top of each other. Ugh, gives me the willies. I'm gonna have to shuffle. I don't want that basic forest that's on top of my deck. I can get the Rockrin Triome. Or I can plow something. Whatever is appropriate here. Oh, they're just draw going me. I'll go for Triome. My red mana set up. I have white in my hand already. Here comes Uro. This is the type of thing I'm happy to ram on the stack. Go ahead, daze it, whatever. Get to leave up white. Don't have a green card to pitch Endurance with. I assume they have to have some answer to Uro post board. If they just hardcast Phoenix here, I'm going to be pretty embarrassed for them. Even if they make 3 Phoenixes right now, I can plow one, Endurance can block the other, and I can Prismatic Ending one as well. It'll take multiple turns, but I have a lot of life to work with. Wall Therapy. I hope they name Endurance. Or Force of Will. That would be even better. Towards the Plowshares, you got me. This is what I was worried about, though, of having 2 of the same card in my hand. Like, if they just play a creature right now, that's really rough on these endings. I'm gonna play my fetch land. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can Ponder, Fetch, Escape Uro. Ponder, do I want Field? Maybe. No, I'm gonna shuffle this. If this Uro doesn't work out, I'm gonna have bigger problems. Blue, blue, green, green. Gonna get Tundra. Go for Uro. Could get red blasted, dazed, forced. A variety of things could happen here. But I still think it's my best play. They seem to have a response. Yep, red blast. No worries. If they can do the Phoenix thing this turn, they can attack for 9 and then flashback therapy using one of the Phoenixes to strip my endings. Pretty strong. Oh, that's not strong. Ouch. Yeah, their deck is just not doing what it needs to right now. Oh, but they can still flashback therapy. Yeah, that actually is really good. If they remember to do that. Which they should. Because it's the whole point of the deck. Yep, there it is. Are they worried about Endurance or the endings? They probably take Endurance. Yeah. That's going to be worth more than the 2 for 1 you'd get off ending, all things considered. Plow is a good draw. I think I do want to waste them. Now, what do I want to take? Yeah, I just want to waste them. I'm working on fueling up my Uro here. Try to constrict whatever I can constrict, even though it's not much. Extracting my Uro. Okay. Uro's off the table. Gotta win with Shark Typhoon now. Or my 2/2s. Or Field of the Dead. Alright, yeah. I have a lot of win cons left. They've seen the plow in my hand now. I'm gonna play Volk. I don't want them to see Caracas. They know every other thing that's going on. They'll just pass in the turn. A weird posture they've ended up taking this game. Where's my Field? Their Brainstorm's pretty good. They're gonna counter this for sure. Pop off a little red blast here. Oh wow, they didn't have it. I'm gonna put back one of the endings and the planes. My hand did not get better from that Brainstorm. Cracking a fetch, they got some action. Healthy Voidwalker, sure. I am gonna fetch, because I really don't want to draw these cards. It can have the fetch land in exile, I don't care. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do want to get a different name to make sure Field's active, or the Field will be the different name, so I can just get the best land. I'm going to save the Plow. I want to be using my less good spells first. The Caracas, and then here's Canonist. I'm not going to get Phoenixed as long as this is in play. Okay, Lightning Bolt, sure. That was a likely card to be in their hand based on how this game has gone. Oh, gut-shotting me. They're going for Phoenixes. They're hooked on them. They're going to get all 4. That's really good. I can answer 2 of them. 1 now, 1 next turn. Be a great time to have Containment Priest. Just plow 1 immediately. What's the... Wait. Here comes the other 3. I take 9 down to 7. I exile 1. I'm at 1. Yeah, this isn't great. Endurance would be a great draw. Force of Will. Look who decided to show. Blue, red, green, white. Get rid of another one. Alright. I'm at 1. I don't think... There's no individual card that can save me. I have to draw a Brainstorm, which finds like Endurance and Plow. And if they can just cast 3 spells... Oh no, I exiled the other things. If they just have a Bolt or Gut Shot. And now Brainstorm doesn't help me because I don't have an extra card to turn into a better card. And the Uros are gone, which is the other thing that could make this happen. Alright, yeah, that was a weird game. Just didn't pan out. Okay, I'm dead. Game 3. Do I want Teferi in the deck? Do I want Dress Down in the deck? I could just sit Engineered Explosives on 4 in play. That's the thing this deck can pretty reasonably do. Oh, Terminus was in the deck. That would have been an out that I wasn't considering. And they do have Surgicals. But I brought in Fluster Storms, which are my good answer to Surgical. Yeah, I think this is as good as my deck's gonna get. Cutting the other Jace for Teferi might lean the deck down a little bit. But Teferi is a worse card than Jace, as far as like if the dust settles, what do I want to have left? There's nothing in my deck to really bounce with Teferi, which is the problem. If I had like Coatl or Snapcaster Mage or some way to get value off of a Teferi immediately, that's something I would be interested in. But that is not what's going on here. And maybe Dress Down is better than Teferi, but I'm bringing in these Hate Bears, which are complete nombos. Yeah, I'll just play Teferi. Or I could play the 2 Meddling Mages, but they are a Lightning Bolt deck with Pyroblast. But those cards also hit Teferi. I'm going to stick with the Teferi. Let's go. I could drive myself nuts with this all day, but it's going to hit Submit. So I could see arguments to play Meddling Mage or Dress Down or Jace, all of which over the Teferi. I'm going to keep this. And I'm going to lead on Tropical Island and pass. If they just have a blind turn 1 Wall Therapy, Brainstorm is a card they might name. I want to be set up against. Like, I want to Brainstorm in response to Therapy rather than Ponder on turn 1. I would have loved to Ponder on turn 1, but them being a Therapy deck makes me play a little weird. They did not shuffle with their Ponder. Field, that's interesting. I don't want that yet. Let's Brainstorm. I haven't seen Daze out of their deck yet. That doesn't mean they don't have it. But it's not even a huge deal if this does get Dazed. Tuck Field back in the deck for a little while, and I don't think I'm ready for Expressive Iteration either. I don't have to shuffle that away. If I want to draw the iteration, I can. Important to note, I can't Pyroblast right now because my only fetchable red source is right here. That probably would have been something worth Pyroblasting. If I could, but I can't. They chose not to shuffle again. They don't have any red. Do I want Expressive Iteration? I think the answer is no, not yet. I'm going to shuffle up for my white source. I think I want it to be Savannah, because that gives me double green also. Very. We've seen Spell Pierce. We have not seen... We've seen Spell Pierce and Flusterstorm. I think they pitched a Flusterstorm to a Force of Will. We have not seen Daze, and they can't cast Red Blast right now. I think I want to wait. I'll hold the Teferi until I can protect it. Ooh, Containment Priest, hell yeah. I'm going to draw Priest now. That's the type of card that is just wonderful. And then I have a land I'm trying to draw next turn to protect Teferi with. I don't think my opponent is a deck that can play back to basics. Mutually Assured Destruction if they jam that card. And I'm willing to bet I play more lands than them. I'm going to save the Priest. Not a card I'm in a hurry to play. Fairy, though. Let's put him in. Unfortunately, they have red now, which they didn't last turn, so I didn't think about that enough. So if they spend their Red Blast on this, that's a Force of Will I get to resolve. Oh, it's just in there. Do I want to draw a card? Yeah. I'm just going to draw a card and make sure I get value off of this. That lets it die to Gutshot, but it's fine. They have Red Blast in their deck. They have a lot of 1-for-1 answers to this thing. So I think they would have countered it if they had Red Blast. Still, I'm gonna cash in my card while I know it's good. Thoughtseize, huh? I could just Force of Will that. It's hyper aggro Force of Will. I could also Brainstorm to hide my Containment Priest. But if they go off this turn, that doesn't matter. I guess I have to let this resolve. Because if they strip the Priest and play for a long game, then I still have Force of Will. If they strip the Force of Will and try to go now, I can Brainstorm to try to find another. They did take the Force. Looks like they're trying to go now. Surgicaling my Brainstorm. Okay. Well, they're going to get an extra card off of that, but I'm going to get a shuffle off of it. Yikes. Brainstorm into my deck and Forest into my deck. Oh, here we go. Or they didn't get an extra card off it because I put the Brainstorm back into the deck anyway. But they do get to mess up my hand pretty good and get a look at it. Yeah, the coast is clear. If they jam their Phoenixes right now, I'm in trouble. Tapping 3 mana. Alright, they were right to let Teferi resolve. It just didn't matter. I can plow 1 Phoenix. Let's see if they put any effort onto Teferi or if they just go face here. Maybe I'll just draw Terminus. They are putting an attacker on Teferi. Good thing I drew a card with them. Terminus. not Terminus. Okay. I'm gonna play a land and then Burrow. Let me plow first. Plow, Burrow. Wait, all my red sources are in my hand right now. I should fetch. There's one in my hand and one in play. I'm gonna get Tundra to cast this Uro with. Tapping the Tundra means that if I draw another plow, I can't cast it, but my plan is to race it with Uro. Alright, couldn't cast that one anyway. Okay, gotta beat these 2 Phoenixes. They've already used 1 Surgical. Voidwalker, that's pretty strong. Fetching. Opposition Agent, my goodness. This is certainly a deck. It's time to draw Terminus right now. I go to 9 from this. I'm gonna get to cast Uro with Pyroblast back up. Alright, well, let's do it, I guess. I can't search until Opposition Agent is gone, so there's no reason to run out the Misty. I could 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, but then I can't protect my Uro. Alright. Green, green, blue. I have the Ketria Triome. Tapping Volk. Volk is just a worse Triome. Strictly worse, as they say in Magic the Gathering. Get to draw a card, play a land, then exile their Voidwalker. Alright, I can exile Opposition Agent next turn and then turn on my fetch lands. See if they can kill Uro, I guess, is the next big question. They can answer Uro cleanly. They can put me to 3, which is bolt range. There are certainly draws they could have right now that make me dead on the spot. Let's hope they don't have one of them. Okay, the Brainstorm, Preordain, Line, the Desperate. Get rid of these. Oh god, they top the Preordain after a Brainstorm. They just wanted every card that they saw. Another Ponder. So that's 3 spells. If they can get their 3rd Phoenix in the graveyard, one's already exiled. There's only one left. They did not shuffle. They're still happy with this. Another Voidwalker. Okay. Fascinating. They put me to 6 here. Then I get to start doing stuff. Start with a draw for turn. Canonist. That's not really the time where I want to find that. I should attack with Uro and figure out what I'm working with. Here's this attack. I have to do this. I'm dead if I don't. But another Prismatic Ending is not bad. I have to end the Opposition Agent first. So white, green, blue. Get rid of that. And then I can end the Voidwalker. White, blue. And I can hold up Priest or just shove Canonist. I think holding up Priest is probably better. I'm dead to Lightning Bolt anyway. Maybe I should fetch now in case they have another agent. Oh, I don't have any white mana. Okay, that changes things. I'm still fetching now, obviously. I'm already committed to that line. But I have no white mana, so yeah, I only have the 2 in the deck, and that couldn't get basic planes, which is the 3rd source. No, they just had the stupid Phoenix number 3. Okay. Alright, this was a good game. Super tight. Fell a little short. They were pretty good with their discard. Just powering through that Teferi, ignoring it was definitely the right play. They just had a lot of 3-power beaters at the end of the game when it mattered. GG's. 3 and 2 with this build of the deck. Got dumpstered by Madness, where I kind of misclicked, and then the Phoenix deck was just able to dance around what I was trying to do. Having black interaction is really good against the deck that's leaning on Pyroblast to do a lot of work. So that was tough. We definitely have the tools to win that matchup, but it didn't line up correctly. The other matchups felt pretty good. Field of the Dead continues to be a complete monster. Expressive Iteration, I think I only cast it twice in the league, but it was great both times. Turns out that card's probably pretty good and worth playing. If I'm doing iteration stuff, maybe some number of Snapcasters right in the deck. Teferi is like fine, but was not as good as I had hoped. Didn't really show up the way I needed it to. Maybe this is better as Snapcaster. Like these 2 Teferis could be, or it could be a 1-in-1 split even. Being a Uro deck and a Loam deck, having also Snapcaster seems kind of dubious because that's a lot of reliance on my graveyard for a deck that doesn't really need to rely on the graveyard. just as an archetype. So that's going to be something you could consider. All of this is still work in progress. It's conducting scientific experiments right now. My eye is definitely on Teferi, though, as the most cuttable card here. And determining if the red splash is worth it, and I do think that it is. I just think that is pretty great. And Field of the Dead continues to be a complete all-star and worth building the deck around. Those are my thoughts about that. I will continue working on this deck. Stay tuned to the channel. Stay tuned to the Patreon. I do post some stuff like updated deck lists that don't necessarily get public videos in the Patreon. You also get them a lot faster. So if you want access to that sort of stuff with upcoming tournaments and whatever, you want it immediately, or just, you know, ping me in the channel Discord. That's all available if you want to jump in on Patreon or YouTube membership while you're here. Thank you, Spunky, for having me play this. Thank you, everyone else, for liking and subscribing and watching. And I'll see you on the next video.